of those. Today is particularly interesting because we are delving into a topic that's quite vested into management, but extends beyond that. We're looking at how someone is going to manage a product from its inception to the point when it goes to market. And we're looking at identifying and selling high sales products. Because of the duration of this particular session today, I want to get started because this is supposed to be done by 2030. And I'm going to ask, if you haven't already got a book and a paper, I'm going to share very important insights, and I'll need you to be able to follow through. Those of you who potentially could actually take screenshots, I'm not going to stop you. This information is going to be valuable and you don't want to miss out on it. So I'm going to get started, and I also just want to ask you to be able to familiarize with your chat box. I may occasionally ask people to be able to comment in the chat. So I hope you know where the chat box is on your phone. If it's on your phone, if you're using a phone right now, you should be able to have a button that says more. And when you click that button, you're going to find an option to press chat, and you can be able to send a particular message to the team. So where do we get started from when it comes to identifying and selling high sales products? And that's where we will begin from today. And just to appreciate everyone who is joining us, those who are still coming in. I see some of my leaders also from church. I appreciate you for being part of this. And I know more are coming through, so just be able to stick around. So we start from an objective. So by the end of this session, participants should have mastered the qualities of high sales products and how to go to market with them and make great sales. This is what we want to accomplish at the end of this particular session. For me, as a facilitator of this particular program, the Management Insights, hosted by Unzapreneurs, I'll be very excited and happy to know that you have grasped the concepts that go with qualities of a high sales product and how to go to the market with them. I mentioned in a short post today on Facebook that, it's not enough to build that high quality product. It's a great product, it's a high quality sales product, but that's not enough. The goal of you building a product is so that that product can reach a market. Whether you're a non-profit or you're a for-profit company, a product is designed for the use of the people in the market. So a product must, at the end of the day, go to the market. I coined a quote that says that when your product goes to market, your hobby becomes a business. And I'm going to say that again. When your product goes to market, when your product goes to market, your hobby becomes a business. Many of us are entrepreneurs here, and we would have found ourselves designing the product and going through hours and months of building that product. And sometimes we may actually become obsessed about the product's functionalities. We want it to be perfect, and that may actually end up hindering us from getting to the market where the money is. Remember, at the end of the day, the product must hit the market, whether you're for profit or profit. So today I'm going to teach us on how we build that product, the qualities that you should be looking for, and on top of that, how you get it to market. So moving on with our session. To get started, we must first ask, what is a high sales product? That's the question of the day. It's a $1 million question, I may ask that. So simply put, it's a product that has an unusual sales rate, a product that is natural. It's like naturally a preference product to the market and doesn't stay on the shelf for long. I'll say that again, or you can just read that. So pretty much a product that has got an unusual sales rate. This is a product that when you put in a store will be selling like hotcake. This is a product that has got a natural inclination towards people rushing for it, towards people looking for it. This is the product that a friend of yours will probably call you and tell you, have you been able to, do you know where I can buy this product? Do you know who's got the best supply of this product? And we've seen products that sell so much today. For example, the mobile phone, the smartphone to be more specific, is a high sales product. Coming up with a high sales product, that's why Randa right now has positioned themselves in a high sales product market. And they are now manufacturers of smartphones. That's a sharp move by them. And we're going to look at quite a number of these particular products. The next thing we need to know is what concepts of a high sales product are relevant today. What concepts of the high sales product are relevant to me and you right now? If you're an entrepreneur listening on this, or you're a particular person in the sales and marketing team for your company where you're working, you must ask yourselves, what concepts should I be looking for me to understand a high sales product? When we looked at how to deal with big goals, we were able to distinguish between fundamentals, information, and skills that a particular person has in an area. And fundamentals are the base things that you need to know for you to be able to understand anything. So for this particular session, there are two key concepts that key in our fundamentals about understanding a high sales product. And I'm going to just unveil that to us. So the first thing is identify. Okay, identify. To distinguish from others, the act of recognizing difference. That's the meaning of identification. Pretty much how you distinguish a product from other products in the market. If you've got a wide range of inventory, if you own a makeshift shop, or you've got a supermarket, for you to identify your high sales product, you have to distinguish it from all the other products that you have in your inventory. So that act of recognizing the difference, that this is different from the rest, it's selling more than the rest, it's more on demand. When customers call me, they ask for this product. If you're in a real estate business, it's those type of houses that seem to sell faster, those plots that seem to sell faster. If you are in salon particular type of business, it's that hairstyle you realize sells better, sells faster. But that's not the only merit. I want to now tell you that we're going to break down into 15 qualities of high sales products tonight, and that's what we're going to look at. So it starts from identifying. So if you're ever given a chance to manage a product, one of the key things you must have at the top of your list is, how do I identify? How do I distinguish the products that I've been given the task to be able to manage? And from that particular approach, you'll be able to identify those that stick out. Let me pause for a moment and just allow you to be able to sink this in. Okay, I'm just going to ask those of you who have your microphones just to ensure that they are muted so that we don't get feedback through the process. Maybe a lot of work for me to both host it and mute your mics. I really appreciate that. But let me just go ahead and mute. Okay, sorry for that. So yes, so I want you to think about you managing that product and how you're going to begin to identify the products that you have and notice the differences. So moving on with our session, the next thing you need to have at the top of your mind is selling. After I've identified the products that I have the ability to choose from, how do I sell the high selling product? Because at times you'll find, as a company, if you run a business, sometimes you may have more than one option of products that you could potentially sell to your customers. Now, sometimes you may have the capacity to sell all of them, but many times, or most of the times, it is wiser for you to pick the product that's going to make you the best, the largest amount of profit, that's going to sell the best, that's not going to be too risky for you to be able to lose your money because you haven't tested the market. But when you have identified it, selling is another thing altogether. So the act of going to market with a product and making a close on a sale, that's what we define as selling. So when you go out into the market, that's when selling begins. So if you've been designing your product maybe during this COVID-19 period and it's not yet on the market, right now I would still term it as a hobby business. You know, it's just there sitting around, you're brainstorming, and it may be a good thing if you're working through your product development stage. But if it stays there, it becomes a problem. So now what happens when you realize the market is open for business and my product should go into business? There's a saying that goes that done is better than perfect. Selling is the number one thing any entrepreneur must have as a skill. If there's any skill that you should have, is the ability to sell, because sales are directly linked to the traffic and the cash flow of your business. Those two things, if any of those two things are lacking in a business, the business soon dies. So traffic and cash flow, and sales gets you both when you begin to work into it. So we look at 4 key areas in the go-to-market strategy for high sales product in tonight's presentation. So then how do we identify those high sales products? I'll move on here. We identify them by knowing and understanding their qualities. That's something we've already covered. And this is something I need you to note. If you know their qualities, we can either build or discover a high sales product. Isn't that amazing? If you've got your chat open, I want you to be able to type, would you rather build a high sales product or discover it? Let me just see your comments. Would you rather build a high sales product or would you rather discover it? By discover, I mean go out there and find something that's already selling, and then you decide to adopt it and sell it. Or if you say, no, I'm one of those people that just likes to pioneer things, I would rather build my product from scratch. Just go ahead. There's no right or wrong answer. Let me just see some comments in the chat. Great. Hankomba says discover. Sandram says I'll choose discovering. Okay, great. Let me see some more feedback from people in the group. What would you rather do? Would you rather build this high sales product yourself, or would you rather discover it? Trust me, there's no wrong or right. I'm looking for more responses in the chat. Okay, great. Thank you, Janet. Janet says she'd rather build. Amazing as well. Aaron says you'd build that particular product. Great. Let's keep those comments coming. I'll be able to refer back to them. TC says both discover and then build to improve. Wonderful answers flowing in the comment section. Great in the chat. Right. So moving forward, 15 qualities of a high sales product. If you had a chance to be able to see the write-ups that I've put on Facebook, I've been able to look at 5 particular qualities, and I'm going to add an extra 10 specifically to those of you that are present today. And one of the things that, just a minute, I just kind of had a mic that was on. Okay, great. Awesome. So one of the first qualities that we look at from the onstart is that a product must be ethically addictive. Now, this is very vital. Among all the qualities, one of the reasons why I put this at the forefront of qualities of a high sales product is that a product that is ethical and addictive has proven over the years to be among the top selling products. You can never go wrong with a product that's addictive in nature. I give a few examples like when you talk about Starbucks. Starbucks became a billion-dollar company in about 13 years because they were selling a non-beverage known as coffee. Now, coffee in its nature is addictive. And as you take caffeine, you begin to enjoy taking the hype that comes with it. And Luckin Coffee is a coffee company that has got a mobile app. And they became a billion-dollar company in about 1 year and some months because of selling coffee. I want to pause and say that if today you can discover or build a product that your customers or potential customers will come to love and be naturally inclined to, will be addicted to, you've hit a product jackpot. Now, we've also seen how Facebook has made it all around the world. Guess what? Facebook is highly addictive. If you agree with me, go ahead and chat in the chat. Go ahead and comment in the chat box. Yes, Facebook is addictive. Go ahead and just type FB in the chat box. Let me see that particular. If you agree with me that Facebook is addictive, go ahead and just type in FB. You can type in yes, so we can keep moving. Great. I see FB in the chat section. Awesome. So I see yes again. FB yes. Thank you, Mr. Alex there. Jamie says FB, great. So we all agree that Facebook is addictive and it's ethical. Ethical means that it's not an illicit particular product. It's not a drug like cocaine, marijuana, and that particular product. Great, I keep on seeing comments coming in. Thank you so much. So it must be ethically addictive. Now we may be talking also in a local space. What have you identified that you can find as addictive? What do people, and the question you should ask yourself is, what do people do every day that they can't seem to stop doing? What's that thing that, if, for example, it may actually be brought down to a niche. A particular of girls maybe at a company, every time it's lunchtime, they go out and they go buy a particular type of chicken, maybe smoked chicken. So this is just an example, by the way. And if you realize that they're not the only people within that market space that have a high inclination towards smoked chicken, for that particular market, smoked chicken can just be your ethical and addictive product. Because of time, I won't go too long on many of these. I try to write them in a way that they are quite self-explanatory. The second thing is a product must solve a pain more than it adds a gain. So there's what they call the pain to gain ratio. Okay, I'll say that again. There's what they call the pain to gain ratio. This is the ratio of pain to gain. Your product must lean more on the pains that it solves than the gains. Okay? A ratio is pretty much how two things relate with one another. So if people are buying your product because it solves the pain that they have, one thing that distinguishes this as a high quality, as a high sales product, okay, is that, so as a quality of a high sales product, is that people who buy a product because of the pain go out to look for it. People who buy a product for the gain, most of the times have to be advertised to, because for the most part, they don't even know they need it. If you're comfortable with the shoes you wear, trust me, you're not going to be looking for another shoe to buy. If you're comfortable with the number of clothes that you have, you're not going to be looking for another set of clothes to buy. But you are not going to stay at home hungry. Okay, that's another whole thing together. Pain is hitting you and you're going to want to buy something. So there's that element that should exist within your product. It must meet more of a pain than a gain. Companies like Coca-Cola, let me even bring this to a particular awareness. Coca-Cola's product, in my opinion, is not a good, Coca-Cola itself is not that healthy. It's got high levels of sugar and whatnot, okay? And I want to give them as a great example when it comes to your go-to-market strategy. And I want you to keep that in mind. Okay, if I don't get to go through, just remind me in the comment section. But one of the things that they have to do, because they don't meet a pain, is they have to advertise greatly. You will have a high advertisement budget if your product is mostly a gain and not a pain. But if it solves a pain, people will do the advertising for you. I'll tell a friend who's facing through the same problem to go to this particular consultant, this particular emotional mentor, and they'll also go there. Why? It's because a pain of mine is being solved. Going on and moving on so that we can cover ground. A product must be able to sell through applications. I did research and studied that there are over 1.5 billion websites today, okay? And there's about 4 billion people in the world's population that are accessing the internet. Now, 1.5 to 4, that gives you a ratio of about 4 people entering your website if it's a store, if we're to share it across. But then can I shock you with something interesting? There are about 2.6 plus apps on the App Store. But with a population of 4 billion, I need you to guess the ratio between the number of people that are most likely to be on an application than a website. Today, you should be thinking, how can I have my product accessible via an application? Amazon has done this very well. Amazon.com is their website, but they've integrated a mobile application. And today, Amazon is one of the, if not, it's the highest gross, it's got the highest gross sales in this particular year period, counting back. It's because of how it's positioned itself to easily be accessible by its clientele. Okay, just trying to mute. Okay. Awesome. So let's just get to move and learn again. The third thing is that the product must be able, so the product must be simple to use. Now, this products can be digital, one. A product can be in form of a service, though some companies prefer to call services and products separately. Then that particular product may be a physical product like food. It can be a physical product like your smartphone. So the simpler it is to use, the more likely you build your reach. Because nobody wants to buy a product that is hard to use. People normally want a product to help them. They want something that's convenient. So you must ask yourself, if you're designing a product, for example, you're designing a village banking application today, how simple will it be from the traditional ways of doing it? If it's complicated, people won't buy it. They would rather stick with what they know. So each time you decide to build your own product, you must be thinking to yourself, in what way will my product be simpler to use than what's available in the market? This is why competition in the market is real. If you stay sleeping and comfortable with the product design, the person next to you will be dreaming and thinking of a way to make their product much simpler to use. So you always have to, especially in the tech business. Last week when we met, we're talking about how hurdles have increased in the technical world because there's so many technologies coming up. So disruption is high and technologies are becoming redundant or update very fast. So that's something that I would ask you to be able to catch up with. Make sure you join the WhatsApp group if you want to be able to catch up with the particular sessions that we've covered in the past. We covered quite a lot there. The fifth thing is a product must have a good story. Now the key of a story is relatability. Someone must be able to relate with your story, whatever product that you're selling. A product that someone can find familiar, it will most likely be bought. There's a talk on TEDx that begins to look at how your product must be less novel than it is familiar. And I took a study as well. I was able to test two particular persons. I put up a product that had keywords that were very familiar to the people that I was advertising that product to. But then I took a product that also had names, but it was things that felt strange to them. The response was higher for something that was familiar. Your product must always have a good story. A good story also goes into if you're building a consultancy package or you're in the service business, your story matters for that particular product. You need to be able to attach that product to maybe how it's solving the problems of your clientele, how you've been in the retail business or in the real estate business, and you've been consistently adding value. If possible, make sure that that product has a backlog of stories that you can be able to ride on. Or if you're talking about building it, because discovering, you're going to have that advantage. You're going to have stories around that product already. You're going to have a lot of data out there, and you can be able to ride your product success based on data already accomplished. But if you're building one of the key things you should ask yourself, does it have the ability to scale into a good story? And as we move on to the next slide, we are using a plan that may be able to cut at some point. So if at all you get cut from this session, just use the same link you used to join so that we can continue with the session. I'll just say that if you're at any time you're logged out, just make sure you use the same link and we'll be back to this session. So moving on, this is the zone that no one has yet come to, and you're the first people seeing this particular slide right now. The sixth quality of a product that sells high is that the product must be able to scale fast. Now, what do I mean with the ability to scale fast? It means that that particular product, within a short space of time, it must be easy to redistribute. That is why service businesses normally hit a bottleneck. They are harder to scale. And I would like to shock you with some fact here. Do you know that Uber, Lyft, and even Ulendo, the type of business model that they're in with their product has a bottleneck? And when Uber started, they were very excited about the service. And trust me, for a while, it was selling greatly until they hit their bottleneck. They needed enough drivers. And Ulendo today is facing the same. Just recently, Ulendo posted an ad where you're able to rent your car for 1,000 kwacha, and you will be able to leave it there with them. So 1,000, that's how much they'll pay you for a month. So I actually love to research every company around me. I called Ulendo and told them to say, how will this work? So they said for a minimum of 2 months, you have to leave your car with them. And then based on your car type and its condition, they'll be able to give you either 1,000 or less, okay? So they looked at that model, but why are they bringing in the advent of new cars? They reached their bottleneck. Their business wasn't able to scale any longer. So as a good entrepreneur, you must ask yourself, to what scale can this product go? If you're looking to be able to make sales that are in the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, then you must begin from the very time you're designing your product to building how it can scale. This is why digital businesses are doing the best today. At Make Live International, we've got 5 mobile games. We've been able to design 3 applications that are yet to go to market because we're just fine-tuning 1 or 2 things. But the reason why we've adopted a very digital framework when it comes to designing our products and what we roll out is because digital products, one, scale faster because they're transmitted over internet through GBs and whatnot. And at the same time, they also have the ability to produce you 100% margins on sales. Can you imagine that? So sometimes you may have to rethink your model when it comes to scaling. Moving on, a product must have a nice name. I'll pause for a bit. Let me just say a few names. Facebook, Amazon, Windows by Microsoft, Alibaba. Have you noticed something about them? They are similar. They are also nice to hear. Amazon, we all heard of the Amazon Django. Facebook, it was popular at Harvard, but we all can relate with face and book. It sells itself already. Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, it will sell itself. Windows, we all have heard of a window. Microsoft sold because of that name, trust me. Don't go and name your product Chitunguzi. We'll be like, what is Chitunguzi? We do not know Chitunguzi because the mindset of a person is looking to associate familiarity even within the name. And something key about the name is that it must also sell the product. It must be inside the product message. You can't have a name like Sweet Bakes and be running an auto mechanic shop. I won't come to your shop. I'll be like, Sweet Bakes, are you going to bake my car? Is my engine going to catch fire? So it becomes very, very relevant for us to take the process of naming our products very seriously. A catchy name may get you far with sales. When you search Google, your eyes are normally going to go for the websites that have got the best key names. We all have a warm, fuzzy feeling when we look for our products. Gucci, Prada, they sound great. Louis Vuitton, they're names, but they definitely have a way they roll off the tongue. Let's look at Zambia. Trade Kings. What's familiar? There is consistency. We understand trade. We understand Kings. It sells itself. Airtel. We get it. So that's something you must have in your mind. Number 8, products must be able to sell through apps. This one was a redundancy that I would be able to clear out as we go. Sorry just for that. So I'll quickly move to number 9. The product must be flexible to sell and vary at price points. It's not safe for your product to normally sell at a one price point. For some businesses, yes, that might be the best solution for you. But let me give you an example. If you're in the service business, you need to know how to vary your prices across different price points. And here's the reason why. Different price points allows you to leverage over the price to demand curve that maybe if you've encountered economics at any point, you would understand. So if your price points are varied, you cater across a wider market space. It means you're going to be able to factor in the low income earners, the high income earners. Even if you're doing a book or you're doing a song, you're doing music, subscription fees, whatsoever thing you're involved in, you must ask yourself the question, how flexible can I range the prices? Remember, we're talking about high sales products. You want to reach as many people as you can. So think about your pricing models. If you've only had one price point for all your products, I want you to ask, is the product that you're building or have discovered, can it be varied across different price points so that you can leverage off different markets? Number 10 is product must be a processed and packaged product, not raw. And just pause for a bit. If you get logged out, we've got 1 more minute. I'll just kindly back using the link. So your product must be processed and packaged. Number 10, I want to speak, if you're writing, write this, convenience, okay? We all go to the supermarket for one reason. They have everything packaged and processed. It's convenient. We won't go to the farmer to buy our milk. Why? We're looking for something processed, something that's packaged. If you go to Amazon store, why we go there is because they've gathered from across the world, everyone that's selling products at the lowest prices, convenience. Learn to ask yourself, are my products solving a convenience problem? Are they well packaged and pressed that I can deliver value with one particular strike? So whenever so don't just, I'm not here to say that people who are in farming are not doing the justice because they have raw products. What I'm trying to communicate is that even within farming, as a farmer, you can set your produce into packages. And we're talking about how a product must be a processed and packaged product, not raw. And one of the reasons why Zambia is facing a lot of challenges economically is because, for the most part, we do not process our copper. We do not process that, and as a result, products that are processed and packaged sell faster. They sell higher, and it means we sell at a slower rate, but we're buying a whole lot. People are buying in jewels every day. People buy earrings. They buy necklaces. They use that material for cars and industries. So people that are processing normally get high sales. Again, I refer to a store. Stores normally have processed packages and not products that are raw. And that's why you should begin to think stores if you're going to sell products quicker. And you need to be able to think of packaging. I want to move on and believe that people will be able to catch up. The 11th thing that we need to have in mind is products must be timely. And I'm going to ask that you understand this. What do I mean by timely? For a product being timely, we are speaking of a product being rolled out at the right time. I'll give you an example. Many years ago, there are products that are doing fine today that wouldn't have worked as fine. For example, YouTube. Do you know that YouTube wouldn't have worked fine the time when we had internet at edge and 3G? Okay, the advent of 3G is what led to YouTube doing fine. There was a company that was launched before YouTube called Z Entertainment. It didn't do well because it was launched out at the wrong time. So people would try to stream videos, and guess what? The videos would be breaking, they'd be lagging behind, and as a result, that company died. And just in the space of about 1 to 2 years, YouTube came in at the time when Wi-Fi was coming in, the 3Gs were coming in, and YouTube today is a multi-billion-dollar business because the product was timely. So when you're thinking of products, always ask yourself this question: is this product timely? Is it what's required for this particular season? Otherwise, you may find yourself with a product that's amazing, every feature figured out, but it's not required. Also, something you must note is that during this time of COVID-19, there's what has been described as essential products and non-essential products. The best products to sell right now are essential products because they are timely. They're actually businesses that have been built around COVID-19 and are reckoning in the millions. Why? Because of the timeliness of a business product. So always be looking out. If right now you're telling me I have struggles with ideas, I've never even thought of products in my life, let me give you something to think about. Begin to ask yourself, what may be timely? What's happening around me? And try to think of the problems that are there. Trust me, you're going to come across a thought. Recently, there was also a lot about EdTech, even before COVID-19. And guess what? It's one of the things that's highly being looked for right now, the best EdTech platforms. Moving on to number 12, a product must be deemed as a necessity. Electricity, water, very necessary. Food, very necessary. So now, notice something about these qualities of a high-selling product. Some of these work in combination. So if you find out this product is a necessity, you can make lots of money from it because people can't do without it. And as bad as it is, there are many people that own even cemeteries that make lots of money, millions, because death is inevitable. They've picked a necessity brand of a business. Every person takes time to utilize toiletries. They always sell. And if you ever find yourself in a community that does not have that, a certain service that's a necessity, you've just hit a jackpot. I recently took time to be able to explore a certain program called the D Prize competition. I need to find out how it works. Guess what? They fund companies or entrepreneurs to distribute products. And one of the top performing companies, products they've had throughout their time is a solar lamp. So when people discover a place where electricity is a problem, they roll out those solar lamps and they've raked in millions. Why? It's a necessity. We all need power and electricity in such a time as this. If you had a lot of money, one of the things you'd also consider is in which places in Zambia where there's lack of internet reach. I hope you're getting the picture. Because of time, I have to move on. The product must be easy to communicate its value. The product must be credible and commendable. Okay, but let me go a bit on number 13. It must not be hard for you to communicate to your customer why they should buy the product. It must come simply. It must be something that's easy to sell. For example, I'll be able to go to someone and tell them to say, buy this iron. When you buy this iron, it's not going to need water for you to sprinkle on your clothes. All you need is this iron, and it does what the traditional iron won't do and the steam iron won't do. At the time it's watering it, it's got such a level of atmosphere around it, or say what you call maybe atmosphere around it, that gets the clothes without wrinkles. So pretty much I'm just trying to communicate to this person that buy this wrinkle-free iron. And that's even a way I could even name that particular iron, the wrinkle-free iron. Simple to communicate it. Someone will know, oh, okay, it's going to solve that problem. If it's a big problem for laundry places, that would be a workable product. 14, the product must be credible and commendable. If you're looking for a product, don't get into a product that people are already shooting down and killing, and because of its lack of credibility. If you go into a marketplace where they are so against certain products because of their past record, don't even try stirring up the pot. That product may not work. I think that sells itself, so I won't do much. The product must be affordable. That's the number 15. It must be an affordable product. Your competitor will move you out of business if they can find a way to sell your product at the same level of quality as yours, with the same, and that's counting all things remain equal, customer experience and everything, but they can be affordable. They will at the very least, your competitor will steal some of your customers if they're able to make it very affordable. So even if you see Tradekins dominating a particular market, if you can find out something that the supply that's you can supply more affordable, you have a market. And by the way, do you know that Tradekins has used this quality in a product to be able to dominate in the Zambian market? What they simply did is they found a way to make what we were already buying more affordable but maintain quality. And today Tradekins was able to penetrate the Zambian market and become a leading giant within the supplies of homes and the particular snack industry. So I want us to have that in mind, even as we think of a product. Let's quickly move because of time. How do we sell high sales products? And many of you have been waiting to learn this. The first thing you need to know is that you need to have a go-to-market strategy. You need to set up what I call a go-to-market plan. A go-to-market plan is going to have these 4 particular strategic areas: a product strategy, a marketing strategy, a channel strategy, and a customer experience strategy. Let's quickly look into them. So what's a product strategy? What you need to know about a product strategy is that you need to know your customer solution very well. Okay, that should be in your mind. How will your customer's problem be solved? When you're thinking of the strategy for your product, is how does it fit into the solution that they're looking for? And these are 5 product strategies that work today. You can take notes of these. Number 1, product messaging. Your product must have a message that quickly communicates the purpose, number 1. Okay, the purpose it plays in your customer's life and how in particular it will benefit that customer. So when you're putting your message across, you must not be mixed. Your logo must not look like it sells chicken and bacon and then you are a book writer. Those 2 things are a miscommunication. So your product messaging is what your customer will see, hear, or experience about your product. That's the message you're sending. Another thing about your product strategy is that your product price is part of your product strategy. We already looked at how when you have a quality product, you have to be very careful about the pricing. There's what they call a product pricing fit. When you're undergoing the product market fit cycle, which has got product solution fit, it's got product user fit. There's also what they call product pricing fit. I know there's a lot of information to take in. That's why you need to get a replay and join the WhatsApp groups. I think the entrepreneurs group are being able to post certain things in. Make sure you're part of this so that you can get the recordings. Okay. Product promotions at launch, very important. So promotions, this is pretty much where you can offer either freebies to give away, you may offer special discounts, or a product promotion may be free consultations. I would give many examples of how businesses were able to topple a market over because they started with free consultations. If you're in a service business, that's one promotion you ought to consider. How can I give free consultations so people can experience my product? Then I'm able to capitalize on their comeback. Another thing is the product vision. Your product must have a vision. Where do you see your product in the next years? Because if you can see where it's going, you can then be able to position it. Then there's a product feedback loop. A product feedback loop, this is where when your product goes to the market, you listen to what the customers are saying, then you keep on making upgrades. When Zoom, during the COVID-19, when Zoom was doing fine, a lot of complaints came about the securities. Zoom right now has had over 3 upgrades since the COVID-19 because of the complaints. They're a sharp business. They're making lots of money. They have an effective product feedback loop. Moving on because of time, your market strategy. The goal of marketing is to generate interest. That's the goal. So if you're going to talk about being a marketer, all you want to do in marketing is to generate interest in your customer to buy. And for you to do that, you need to understand your customer persona. Your customer persona, these are specific details about your customer, their behavior, their needs, their demographics. That includes age, sex, are they married or not? You need to understand your customer's persona for you to build an effective market strategy. So let's go back to Amazon as a case example. They have a product, we talked about product strategy. They've been able to have a right fitting access to their platform and everything. When they come to their market strategy, they're going to ask themselves, which particular customers are buying more home supplies? And on their website, they're going to be able to market home supplies to that customer strategy. And they'll find out the age range, 18 to 45, normally women, in married or single women. So they get those demographics, and it better enables them to be able to supply and meet the needs effectively. And some key things about product strategy that you need to know. Just a minute. Is top 5 market strategies that are working. These we've been able to use them and make live, and I've seen and done so much research among these, and I know how much they're working. Top 5 market strategies. Number 1, reverse marketing. Reverse marketing is where you offer your customers, your potential customers, value first. It can be a free report, it can be a free article, it can be free samples of your perfume. And I've seen Inuka perfumes use that before, and just different other perfumes, right? So then when your customer appreciates the product, they will follow you instead of you following them. That's why it's reverse. You don't have to follow your customer with reverse marketing. So ask yourself, if I give people free samples of this, remember, marketing is to generate interest. Will they follow me back? Reverse marketing is different from direct marketing. They're opposites. Direct marketing, you go to your customer and pitch to them there and then. And for us, we've noticed that reverse marketing strategies rake in more clients than direct marketing strategies. Another thing is influencer marketing. Influencer marketing is by far one of the best ways to be able to market any product, because it leverages on the strengths of relationships that already exist. Relationships that may have existed for many years, they will all benefit. You will benefit from those relationships. You'll benefit from them. So if you've got a product, find your way. How can I get celebrities to be able to market my product for me? There's a company that went up in sales great. He wants to feature a celeb. Today, Michael Jordan has been able to sell so many things for Nike and many brands. One of the Kardashians has built an entire business industry because of her firm. She sells merch for many companies. I'm using very popular examples because I want you to understand the power of influencer marketing. So an influencer can be a macro influencer like a celebrity, or they can be a micro influencer, just the friends in your community. If you find a product they can sell for you, that particular market is what we call influencer marketing, because they'll go to John, who you do not know, and sell it on their behalf. I coin a quote that says, there's certain doors in life that don't open because you knock, but because you know the person on the other side. I'll say that again. There's certain doors in life that don't open because you knock, but because you know the person on the other side. Influencer marketing, you need to be able to know that I may not know Bob, but my friend Raphael knows Bob. By me going through Bob, through Raphael, I'll be able to sell to Bob. So always think about that. Network marketing, that's why network marketing companies have seen a lot of growth. Sadly, some of them are pyramid schemes and they swindle people of so much money. Another thing is referral marketing. Referral marketing is word of mouth. It's different from influencer marketing for this reason. With influencer marketing, it's deliberate step that you have to take as the owner of that product to be able to building these systems. If you've been in a network marketing program before, they'll tell you your uplinks, your downsiders, and whatnot. That's a structured way of marketing. With referral marketing is where you find a customer and you serve them so well, or you supply a product that meets their needs so well that on their own, they want to tell their friends about it. This is where it becomes important for you to be able to have good customer experience, because your customer may become your referral marketer without you needing to pay for them. They may be your brand ambassador. That's another market strategy. Find a way to use referral marketing. Cohesive marketing, for me, I find it as one of the least ways you should decide for your product. Cohesive marketing is where you go to your customer and tell them of a problem they didn't know they had, and tell them, if you don't buy my product, your problem will remain. That's cohesive marketing. Cohesive marketing goes to the customer, I'll tell you again, and tells them, you've got this problem. If you don't buy my product, you will fail. That's another approach. This is a form of direct marketing, and it's the very opposite of reverse marketing. Remember, reverse marketing, you go to your customer and give them value. Sometimes in reverse marketing, let me give you an example. This is how it would work. I can go to John and tell John to say, John, if you buy my book, your problem about how to grow your profits will be solved. Okay? If you don't buy my book, John, your business will actually begin to fall because you will not know what's relevant in the field. That's me being cohesive about my approach. But when I go to John with a reverse marketing strategy, I'll tell him, hey, John, I've got this book about how to grow your profits. I've noticed you've been reading another book by John Maxwell. Great book, I love it. But I believe that that book could also be paired with this particular book. But even if you don't buy my book, just because you're reading John C. Maxwell's book, your business won't suffer. What have I done? I've commended a product to him that maybe he's already reading. But at the same time, I'm not telling him he needs my product. I'm just telling him, well, the product may add extra benefit to you. The customer that sees that will more likely buy because they know you have them in mind. Let me move on because of time. I want to finish this in time. I see time is already moving. The channel strategy. The channel strategy is simply this. It sets you up to educate and sell your product in a place where your customers want to purchase products from you. So top 5 channel strategies for e-commerce. There are also channels that exist beyond e-commerce, but I decided to pick e-commerce now because of how big this is a market. So channels, for those who haven't understood channels are simply the place where a customer can buy or learn about your product to buy it. Remember, go-to-market strategies are about selling. So you need to know the channels that work. Number 1, affiliate sales. Affiliate sales is where you have people selling products for you based on commission. They do well. Apps and websites as a channel. Like I said, they've seen an increase in use over the past years. Email marketing. Did you know that 99% of people that own an email address open up their emails every day? And 66% of the people that own an email address have bought a product because of an email. Email marketing is a big way to go. I'm just going to put that out there because of the value. Almost everyone has an email address. Someone can never even access an app, but they may find a way to access that email. So learn it. Social media marketing sales. Facebook has recorded a highest number of sales related to social media. LinkedIn Twitter, Instagram also sell quite great, and YouTube as well. You need to learn how to use those channels. Then there's what they call an organic reach. An organic reach, this is like the search engine optimization. If you go to Google and search, if your product is among the top ones, most likely you get the most sales. That's why many companies are fighting to be among the top ranking in any search. And there's what they call keywords. So if you build a website on an app, make sure it's got keywords. You've done necessary due diligence in search engine optimization. If you need help, you can always reach out to the Make Life team. They'll be able to help you, or the entrepreneurs team as well. Customer experience. Top 4 customer experience items. And this is the last thing. The customer journey, the customer relationships, the customer feedback, and the customer user experience. A quick one about the customer journey. The customer journey, and let me pause for a bit so that you get this right. The customer journey is the process that your customer takes to get to buy your product. So this is before they buy it. So what's the journey for them? If you are selling products on an application, what's the journey? Do they sign up? After they sign up, what next? They browse, maybe they browse the catalog. They click what they like. They go to cart. They bought the product. That's a customer journey. Could be different. If you own a retail shop, they walk in the door. The first thing they see is an arrow telling them beverages this side, donuts this side. That's the journey. Make sure your journey is great. If you're going to a market, if you're even selling a product, maybe you sell your product through direct sales, ask yourself, what's the journey that you take your customer on to buy your product? Things like copywriting comes in, how you sell, your pitch. How do you journey them through talking to them to the point where they buy your product? Another thing is customer relationships. People will buy from you because they like you. I'll say that again. People buy the most because they like the person. There are people who will buy even something slightly more expensive just because they like the person who's selling. And why is that? That person may have been able to build a relationship with them. I've seen this a lot with a lot of our clients. When we show that we're interested in them, we've done a lot of free services for people in the past. And today we've still got commitment from them because of how we've been committed to build our relationships with them. Always have the customer at heart. There's a person who got a major deal, even though they were just a startup, but because they used to go check up on their potential clients, ask them how they're doing, what their business was doing, and they got the deal. Now, with the advent of technologies, what they call CRM, which are customer relationship management tools. This is a management insights class. You need to know what the CRM is. And if you need help on picking your right CRMs, make sure you get in touch with the Make Life team so we can get you connected. Customer feedback, review, testimonials, and referrals. These are very important. They can make or break your business or your product. There's a company that ignored a customer's feedback when he flew in their plane. I won't mention the company. He had put his guitar in the luggage component, and when he landed and he got his bags, his guitar was broken. That plane company ignored the customer. They didn't do anything about it, and this customer went to social media and posted about them. That company saw a drop in billions of dollars because of the complaint. And another airline company that picked up on that advertised to say, we take care of your guitars. And they picked market so highly. You need to know that when your customers review your product, be listening. The testimonials, be listening. The referrals, be listening. Those of you who've got applications, get in touch with us. There's a way for you to get your app ranking on the top of any app store because of reviews, testimonials, and referrals. But let me move to the last thing, customer user experience. You need a great user experience. It's different from the customer journey. The customer journey is before they get to buy your product. The customer user experience is when they buy your product. How user-friendly is it? We all are able to use the phones today because they've got menus, they've got tap options. It's easy to follow and understand. The more easier it is for a customer to use your product, the more better it is for your product to sell in the market. So thank you so much, and I'll be taking questions.